Hi, good morning. It's early in the morning and I am out by the river again, and I want to tell you again one of my favorite Bible stories from Matthew chapter 14. My name is Scott, and I can't wait for you to hear again one of my favorite stories about Jesus. But before we do that, I want us to think for a little bit. I want us to think about something that is scary. Oh, what a weird question, right? To ask you to think about scary things, but think about the scary things. You know what the scariest things are? The things that you think are scary. I don't know. Can you think of some things that are scary? Things like maybe it is swimming in the water. Maybe getting your face wet, getting your eyes under the water. Maybe it's scary things like spiders. I kind of like spiders. Maybe it's snakes or bears. What else do you think is scary? Do you think it's scary to crash your bike or to get hurt? Do you think it's scary to get lost? Think of the things that are scary. And I'm going to ask you to do something right now with your parents or with somebody who's with you, or even on your own. I want you to take just a few minutes and I want you to try to think of as many things as you can that are scary. That's kind of a weird question again, isn't it? Think about scary things, but don't worry. Our story in Matthew chapter 14 is about Jesus and how he helps when things get scary. So again, I'm going to ask you to do a cool thing is on your video. I want you to pause it and I want you to come up with a list of as many things as you can that you think are scary. So go ahead and pause the video right now. Did you pause it? Did you come up with scary things? What kind of things did you come up with? Did you think that, scary things at night, a dark room? Did you think of something hiding under your bed? Ooh, scary. Did you think of maybe sometimes strangers or being alone? What kind of things did you think of that are scary? Well, in Matthew chapter 14, what had just happened was something amazing with the disciples. In fact, it's another story that I'll tell another time. Jesus had just fed a huge number of people with a little bit of food. And it was an incredible miracle. And when that was over, Jesus told his disciples to get in the boat and go to the other side of the lake. So they did. They hopped into the boat and they started to go across. Jesus, meanwhile, he was with the crowd. He dismissed the people, said, everybody, you can go home. And he went up onto the hillside and he prayed for a while. When he was done praying, Jesus did something that it's not really scary, but it's a little strange. Jesus started walking on the water out to his disciples. And as he was walking out to them, all of a sudden it started to get a little stormy. I don't know if any of you said a storm is scary. Have you ever thought thunder or lightning are scary? Well, there the disciples were in their boat, rowing to the other side, and a storm was happening, and it was scary. And there in the wind and the waves, all of a sudden they saw, off in the distance, Jesus walking on the water. Walking on the water? It's got to be a ghost. So scary. And so they were frightened and they were terrified as this man was walking on the water, and all of a sudden they realized, is that Jesus? Why are you afraid? It's Jesus. No, it can't be Jesus. Is that really Jesus? He said, if it's really you, Jesus, tell me to come out onto the water and walk to you. That's what Peter said. If it's really you, tell me to come out on the water and walk to you. What a crazy question. What a scary thing to come and walk on the water. Have you ever tried to walk on water? It doesn't work very good for me. Maybe it works better for you. Well, Jesus said, come out onto the water, and Peter did. He stepped out of the boat, and there he was, walking on the water. It was amazing. He was doing it. But all of a sudden, he saw the wind and the waves, and he got scared, and he started to sink. And while he was sinking, Jesus reached out and grabbed his hand and rescued him. Why did you doubt? Why did you have fear? Why didn't you have faith? Jesus asked as he was walking and holding his hand there on the water. And so the question is for you today is this: when you're afraid, when you're scared, what are those things? And then, where is Jesus in the midst of that? You see, as we lose sight of where Jesus is and that he's with us all the time, it's so easy to be afraid. It's so easy to be scared. But it's important to remember that in the scariest moments, in the scariest things, if it's something like a bang in the night, or if it's being alone, or being sad, remember that Jesus is right there, and he cares for you. Have faith in him, and he will help. One of my favorite stories. I love that Peter walked on the water. I love that Peter even was scared and started to sink. But I really love that Jesus caught him and didn't let him sink away. Now, when you remember all those scary things, also remember that Jesus cares and he's there for you. Now, I'm going to let you see this story played out again in a cool animated version. So great to be with you today. Have fun!
Stories of the Bible. Peter walks on water. This is Peter.
Hey-o! Whoop.
Peter was a fisherman who was called by Jesus.
Hey!
Peter saw the many miracles of Jesus,
Whoa!
and he heard all his teachings. Great crowds followed Jesus wherever he went. One day after Jesus had done a great miracle, he sent the disciples in a boat across the lake while he stayed and sent the people home.
See ya! Hey, Jesus!
After sending them home, Jesus went up into the hills by himself to pray. Meanwhile, the disciples were in trouble far away from land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them, walking on water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. In their fear, they cried out, "It's a ghost!"
Hold on there.
But Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage. I am here." Then Peter called to him, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water." So Jesus said, "Yes, come." So Peter went over the side of the boat
Whoa! You're awesome!
and walked on the water toward Jesus. But when he saw the strong wind and the waves,
Whoa!
he was terrified and began to sink.
Jesus, help me!
"Save me, Lord!" he shouted. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. Jesus said, "You have so little faith. Why did you doubt me?" When they climbed back into the boat, the wind stopped. Then the disciples worshiped him and said, "You really are the Son of God."